Okay, everyone, this is part 2 of labeling our cells and winds and all that good stuff. And you'll recognize this from earlier, the part 1, and you had the paper where you put in all the Hadley cells, so the Hadley cells, and then you had the Ferrel cells, the polar cells, and then it comes around. And you guys got all of that labeled along with your arrows in the right direction, the air warming along the surface of the earth, and then it rises, cools in the upper atmosphere, and then sinks back down, and you put all of that down. Now, this is part 2. I'm going to give you this exact same sheet again. I want you to go in, add the cells as you see here. You don't need to add in the names because we're going to be adding other information to this one. But if you need to, pause the video, put all of your cells in, make sure that your arrows go in the correct direction. Remember that wherever two cells come together, the arrows must be pointed in the same direction. And then at the equator, this is where they rise. At the North Pole and South Pole, this is where they fall. So if you're doing your pattern and you have something other than rising here and falling there, then you know you have something wrong within your pattern of arrows. So let's get started here. Now, the Hadley cells, as I've said, they are going around, okay? They're spinning around the earth, okay? They're like the Michelin Man wrapped around. Now, we're going to go through and label these predominant winds along with how they're moving. So, along here, now, it doesn't matter how many arrows you put, but I'm going to suggest you do 3 just so this doesn't become overly cluttered. Now, these winds here, and again, we have that symmetry we keep talking about. These winds will be going this way, okay? And that has to do with the counterclockwise rotation of the Earth. And you can tell that the Earth counterclockwise rotates because the sun rises in the east and goes to the west. If we were spinning the other direction, sunrise would happen in the west. And so you can see we're going counterclockwise. This causes the Coriolis effect, this curling of these winds. And these here are the north, and I'm going to abbreviate that with an N, northeasterly trade winds. You might also hear it as northeasterlies trade winds, northeasterly trade winds. And then down here, you've got the same winds. And so with this one, I imagine you could guess southeasterly. Southeasterly trade winds. So these are the northeasterly trade winds. These are the southeasterly trade winds. Now, you can certainly fit these in better than I have, but I needed to write them big enough so that you could see them. Okay? Now, pause the video if you need to, but I'm going to keep moving on. Now, above the northeasterly trade winds, you have the westerlies. And just for reference, you see 30, 60. At about the 41 degree line is where, so somewhere in about there, that's where Utah is located. So predominantly America falls within this region here. So these here are called the westerlies. Westerlies. Okay, and you also have them down here in the southern hemisphere. And these are also called the westerlies. And you'll notice as we've been learning in class, most all of our winds come from the west. This is why. They are the westerlies that you're feeling.
Now, of course, we know that, winds can blow in different directions, but the predominant winds are going to be these westerlies. And down here, symmetry, north to south, westerlies. So go ahead and get those labeled. Pause if you need to. And then the next set of winds that you're going to add in here will be the polar. And before I say the direction, let's look at the pattern. You've got easterlies, westerlies. What do you think these are going to be? And these will be the polar easterlies. So these are going to be the polar easterlies. Polar easterlies. And you're going to have them here too. Polar easterlies. Okay, now we've got those all labeled on there. And pause if you need to, record everything. I apologize for that bright bar of light. That's the overhead lights, nothing I can do there. But you're going to get all of this down. Now, the next thing I need to talk to you about is the highs and lows and where they predominantly are along the planet. So let's take a look here. At the Hadleys, your arrows are going up. The arrows are rising. The arrows are rising. And so with that said, if the atmosphere is rising, it's coming up, it's rising, what kind of pressure are you going to have along the equator? What will be the predominant pressure if the atmosphere is rising? Hopefully you said lows. So put some red L's along here. If you don't have red, just put the L's. Know that, lows are red. Okay, moving along. Let's move up to where the Hadleys meet the Farrells. Notice the direction of the arrows. The arrows are pointing down towards the earth. So the atmosphere is coming down. So the upper atmosphere is going down. It's pushing down. So if the atmosphere is pushing down, you're going to have what pressure? Hopefully you said high. You should have high pressures. So predominantly along the 30-degree latitude line where the Farrell and the Hadley meet and they push down, you're going to predominantly have high pressures. Now, I told you the Earth has symmetry, east to west, north to south. If you've got these high pressures along the 30-degree north, let's jump to 30 degrees south. Again, the atmosphere is coming down to the Earth. It's pushing down. So again, you should have high pressure labels along the 30 degrees south, or south 30 degrees. So put those highs in there. Following our pattern. Okay, let's look at the 60 degrees. At the 60 degrees, again, the atmosphere is lifting and going out. The atmosphere is lifting and going out. And because it's lifting and going out, lifting, our pressure is going to be lows, a low pressure. Symmetry, we have it in the south, we should have it also in the north. So along the north 60 degrees, our predominant pressure, because the atmosphere is lifting and going out, we are going to predominantly have low pressure along the 60-degree north. So there you have it. For the part 2, so for this part 2 video, make sure you have all of this recorded. And then what I want you to do is at the top of the form where it has patterns that you see, go ahead and write down 3 patterns that you can identify in this. So there you go. Pause the video if you need to catch up and get anything on here. And good luck with it.